Welcome to a new feature of Mind Inclined. If you've been listening to my Ring the Bell podcasts, you know we usually wrap up in about a minute so that they can fit on YouTube Shorts. But this time we've got a big topic, transforming your life. And that could take several minutes. Now, transforming your life means that there's a lot of information to cover. So we're going to take a deep dive, or you might say, a tall climb. I'm here on location at Indiana University Bloomington, specifically at the Indiana Memorial Union, and I just finished a workout of climbing up these steps. I attended college here back in the 1980s, and I loved coming to the Union. I still do. Come to think of it though, I never ran up the steps back then, and I never saw any other students running up the steps. Youth is wasted on the young. But you're not here to listen to me relive the good old days. You're here to create some good new days for yourself, and that's why I'm here too. You have goals, things you want to do or be. But wanting on the one hand and achieving the goals on the other hand can often seem very far apart. That's why we're here. We're going to focus on bridging that gap between the wanting and the doing or the being. It starts with having a goal, but not just any goal, a SMART goal, one that you can measure so that you know when you've achieved it and you can measure your progress along the way. Goals. I talked about a SMART goal. Maybe you've heard that acronym before. I didn't make it up. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. SMART. So, what's a SMART goal? Well, let's start with a goal that you might have. I want to write more. That's not very smart. I mean, it's smart. I want you to write more, but it's not SMART. So, for example, how much is more? What are you going to write? Grocery list? Probably doesn't count. When will you write? When will it be done? How will you get there? You want to set a SMART goal. SMART. So, if simply saying you're going to write more is not a SMART goal, what would be a SMART goal? How about this one? I'm going to finish a draft of a poem this week. That's a SMART goal because it's measurable. You'll know if you're done in a week. It's time-bound in a week. It's specific. You're going to write that poem, a draft of it, and be finished this week. By the way, this is the perfect place for me to be talking about writing poetry because I wrote a poem for my girlfriend about 40 years ago, right over there under one of those trees. And she became my wife. Asking her to marry me, that was something smart. When you set your goal, also consider a couple of why questions. First, ask yourself, why have I not achieved this goal already? This question helps you recognize that the goal is indeed hard to achieve and that you will experience hardship and disappointment. That's okay. That sets realistic expectations. It may even help you persist if you remember that it's going to be hard and if you don't give up after a few failures. Stephen Covey, the author of the famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and other people have provided helpful guidance for setting goals. Covey recommends writing a personal mission statement. Others promote visualization as a powerful way to identify our future selves. Mike Figliolo, author of One Piece of Paper, says, if you paint a compelling enough picture of your future, it will be easy to make choices consistent with that desired future state. Habit guru James Clear makes a particularly insightful observation about the vital link between goals and identity. Discussing what he calls identity-based habits, Clear observes that, quote, when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer pursuing behavior change, you are simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. This next trick comes from the world of psychology, and it's a powerful one. It's called Precommitment, and I learned about it in a book called Willpower, co-authored by a famous psychologist named Roy Baumeister. Now, pre-commitment is what it sounds like. It's a commitment to do something. But it's especially powerful if you can tie it to a specific time or particular circumstance. Let me give you an example. For a long time, I've suffered from some lower back pain. So I have a stretch that I do in the morning, actually a whole series of stretches. And I noticed on those days when I got preoccupied, too busy, and I didn't do my stretching, I was much more likely to have the back spasms. So I made a pre-commitment that one of the very first things I did in the morning after I put in my contact lenses was to do my stretching. And lo and behold, I virtually eliminated the problems I had with my back pain. So the point is, I made a pre-commitment that at a particular time, I would make sure that I did that thing. Now, the idea that Baumeister presents, which may or may not be true, psychology is complicated, is that you don't have to exercise the willpower to do that thing in the moment if you've already pre-committed to it. So it relieves some of that necessity of the willpower. You just do it because that's the rule you've set for yourself. So here's another example of pre-commitment. Let's say you want to do something I find very valuable and read every day. So you could pre-commit to a certain time of day. You could say, I'm going to read 20 pages, that's specific, before I eat lunch each day. By the way, for this part, we're in the library here at Indiana University, Wells Library, one of my favorite places. And Jupiter, who's doing the filming today, actually said, oh, I hope we can find some books there. That's how things have changed in the last 40 years. But there are still plenty of books here at Wells Library, and it's where I spent a lot of time as an undergraduate. Fond memories. Setting a SMART goal, though, is only the beginning. Now you have to achieve that goal, and for that, some strategies can be very helpful. One of those is making sure you have the time to achieve the goal. And not just enough time, but a specific time. How will you make sure you have enough time and set a specific time? Well, let's think about that idea of writing a poem by the end of the week. If you've done some writing, you probably have an idea of how long it takes you to do the writing. So let's say to write a short poem, it's going to take you about 5 hours. To think about your ideas, to jot them down, to draft, to revise, and you've got a draft of your poem. Well, 5 hours over the course of a week, about an hour a day on the weekdays. But when is that hour? That can be difficult because you've got lots of other things that are weighing on your time. You've got homework to do, or maybe you're a parent and you're helping your children do their homework. You've got to clean the kitchen. You do clean the kitchen, right? So you add up all of those things and maybe you feel like you don't have time in your day. I suspect you do. Look at what you're doing over the course of your day, and maybe there's some time in there that it would be time better spent. I read that a lot of people do a lot of social media. That might be a time that you want to spend on writing your poem. After all, if the goal is that important to you, then it's worth setting aside the time to do it. Sometimes, though, it still might be difficult to find that time in your day. Here's another strategy. It's called multitasking. Now, if you know the science, you realize that multitasking is tricky. Technically, it's not really possible to do complicated things at the same time. And sometimes, honestly, it's a very bad idea because you won't be as productive at either thing. But there are some things I've noticed that work. If there's a part of your day when you're doing something fairly mindless, loading the dishwasher, commuting, there are times when you can figure out a way to multitask, to do that thing that's bringing you closer to what your goal is. If it's writing, for example, you could do what I do sometimes. Actually, I did it as I was preparing this podcast, is I dictated to my phone as I was walking to work. An easier one when it comes to reading is listening to Audible books. For this next part, I'm going to quote my favorite slogan of all time, just do it. Now, I'm not trying to sell you shoes here. I just love this slogan because it's so powerful when it comes to doing hard things. It's relatively easy to think and to plan and to prepare, but it's much harder to do. When you just do it, you're getting past the intimidating part. Think about a cold swimming pool. You know it's going to be cold, it's going to be uncomfortable, but only for about a second. But that second leading up to it feels so intimidating, even paralyzing. If you can just do it, you just dive in or plunge in. And once you've done it, it doesn't seem half so hard. So the just do it is a way to get past the frightening part. Once begun is half done. I can't stress this hard enough. I've seen this work again and again for me, and not just in swimming pools. Okay, now you have set some SMART goals. You've asked yourself some why questions. You've set aside the time to achieve those goals. Hopefully you've also jumped in with a can-do, just do it attitude. And finally, you have some pre-commitment strategy. There's one more thing you need to do, and that's you need to succeed. Now, that sounds kind of circular. To succeed, you need to succeed. There's some fascinating science behind this part. In their book, Willpower, the authors cite a study that shows that people who succeeded in transforming one part of their life were more likely to transform another part of their life that was completely unrelated. Why would that be? Success breeds success. It could be that they had strengthened their willpower. It could be that they had more confidence. But the point is that success itself is a tool toward more success. And that's why I'm here in a very personal part of Indiana University for me. Back in 1987, I wanted to be a resident assistant. I applied and I got the job. I'll never forget that summer of 1987 when I came here to Reed Residence Hall, Curry 3, where I was a resident assistant. I was a new person. I had so much more confidence. I tried things that I would not have tried earlier. I came in with a little bit of swagger. And because of that, I was doing more things. That success of getting to be a resident assistant helped me achieve additional success. I even started dating, and that's where I met Lisa, and later on we became married and been married ever since. That success bred success. So my advice to you is, in order to succeed, do whatever it takes to get there. If the first pre-commitment didn't work, try a different one. If the time you set aside didn't work, try a different time. If you need more of that just do it attitude, work on that. But it will be worth it. When you succeed, you will feel a new self come about, and you will find even more success. Success breeds success. I hope you will start using this process to make small and eventually larger changes in your own life. Start with something manageable and make sure you succeed. Because remember, success breeds success. Succeed at that early small goal, and then start making more and more SMART goals and use all those other strategies to achieve success. Eventually, and this is the exciting part, you can transform your life. And we're here to help at mindinclined.org. Here you can find our free Mind Travel newsletter, our free Ring the Bell podcasts, and coming soon, our moving experiences virtual tours of really interesting places such as the Appian Way and parts of New York City and Chicago. And you multitaskers out there, you also can find a link to my Audible books, so you can drive or walk or exercise while you're listening to additional ways to change your life. One of my books, Ben Franklin's Lessons in Life, goes into much more detail about how you can transform your life with pre-commitment and other strategies. So, thanks for watching. Now it's time to get out there and ring the bell.